they come on when the supply system fails.
Right.
Now, where is the panels fitted?
Not
So-
an issue at all.
Right.
The electric you're gonna be producing with your solar array is probably as clean of electric as you'll ever produce.
Yes, but if it's coming into my panel,
But-
it's going to have a generator not run.
No, but what you have is,
Other way.
the utility's on, you have a standby generator,
Yeah.
and the panels, say there's a little flicker in electricity. For a split second,
We have that constantly.
so you have a flicker in electricity, these panels are gonna shut off for about 5 minutes, because they don't wanna have that on-off screwing with them. So they say, okay, we're gonna stay off for about 5 minutes until we establish a nice steady grid, then we're gonna turn back on. So they turn on, they're running, say the power goes out for a legitimate power outage, then your generator is gonna kick on, but your solar panels are gonna be producing very clean electric in terms of like a pure sine wave, very pure electric. Your utility company will probably be sending you dirtier power than your panels are producing.
Okay.
And then when the generator kicks on, that doesn't make nice sine wave electricity, that makes modified sine wave
Yeah, right.
electricity. So then the panels will register that the generator's kicked on, and they'll look at that and say, this is garbage, I don't want that, that's too dirty for me to turn on, I'm gonna stay off until I see something cleaner. So then when the power is restored, the generator kicks off, utility company pushes back in like it normally does, and then the panels are like, I can deal with this.
Thank you.
Mhm.
What about a windmill and solar?
You can do that, that's a
We have a
possibility.
lot of wind on our,
Possibility, probably, yeah, you'd wanna talk with somebody, you could talk with me about doing something more in depth, but, price per kilowatt, windmill and solar panels are probably about half to a third the cost of what you're getting kilowatt wise, so, and with windmills, you have moving parts, so you have maintenance. And it's not as, predictable, you know, sometimes you'll be sitting there looking at the windmill and it's just not doing anything, so. You know, if you're doing an off-grid system, that'd be a good way to go.
4 hours a day, right?
Especially in our area, you have lots of sun during the summer, more wind during the winter, so they kind of balance each other out.
Just a quick number on wind, so we've all seen the beautiful big white windmills throughout the state. They're running at about 20% efficiency, so, you know, even when you see them turning, if they don't get up to 10 miles an hour of wind, they're not gonna generate electricity yet. So, this is, I hate to sell your stuff, but, you know, if you look at sun, when it's sunny, which is only 50% of the time on average, when it's sunny, and actually less than 50% when it's cloudy, but
Our area is about 4 hours average throughout the year of good sun. So that's only 4 hours out of 24, if you think about it. But that's our area's level of 100 or 1,000 watts per meter squared sun on an average day.
now you got me wondering, 1/6 is what? Who's the good math person?
Correct me if I'm
About
wrong,
17.
Blair, but Seeds usually says if anybody's interested in going to small-scale wind, because they think they always have wind at their house, do a year-long assessment of your wind first, before you go into the expense of putting up a windmill, because you'd be surprised at how much wind there isn't there. Is that correct, Blair?
Yes, and also if you're looking to do a windmill, do not buy a vertical axis wind turbine. When I say horizontal, like the windmills you see on the different mountainsides that are a big pole, the axis of the windmill is horizontal, those blades spin, right? There's people, I had a customer today that, not today, just last week, wanted me to do combination unit for his off-grid system. He said, well, what about, before I purchased the system for you, what about this with a combination windmill? What it was is a vertical, it's like, you know, just little whirligigs that you put on top of your roof. What about this? It looks great. Well, if you think about it, the wind's coming from this direction here, and the windmills say it's supposed to spin this way. Okay, that's great. The wind doesn't come and focus right here because the wind is pushing on both sides. So as it's pushing the windmill this way, it's also working against itself this way. So just by natural logic, your vertical axis wind turbine will not work. Don't invest in anybody's company that's doing that, because I've had people, one guy was trying to telling me, oh, it's the greatest thing in the world, they're putting them underneath the Brooklyn Bridge, and they're gonna do this and that. I said, it's not gonna work. And then, 6 months later, I say, how did that project work out? Well, it didn't really, never made it through the design phase, so it will not work.
Wind is one of the harder things to predict or forecast mathematically. The big industrial utility scales can do that because they're off 100 meters off the ground. And that's much more stable in terms of predictability at surface
And coming in
level.
at 20%, which now you mentioned, 1/6, which is 4 hours a day, so the solar essentially is gonna be 16.6 or 7%.
18%. But so the nice thing about sun is we have a historical record of sunlight hitting our ground, and the satellite data has been capturing it for 30, 40 years. So the National Renewable Energy Lab has a tool, we talked about it yesterday, PV Watts, allows you to enter the specs for your system, and it will tell you what you should be able to produce every year from the system, and that's in kilowatt hours. So you immediately can compare that to your electric bill and know how much you're going to save, and that's what the handout tries to walk you through. If anybody does have concerns or questions about the handout, my email's on the back, I think on the last page or the next to last page, not counting the attachments, so it's coming up page 6, it's probably page 5 or 4. Feel free to email me anytime. I'm glad to clarify things or take questions. If something's wrong, feedback, appreciate that input as well.
Yeah, as Jack mentioned, with the windmills, the higher you go, a lot of times the better off you are in production. And you grow, or exponentially is correct, but you
It's
grow
not linear.
Yeah, you grow pretty well the higher you go, so, don't just put one on a 20-foot pole in your backyard, behind your house, and between your house and your barn. I mean, it's not gonna
The
work.
price grows exponentially as well.
Yes, yes it does. Yes, sir.
You said that at the end of 25 years, it's about 80% instead of 100%.
Yes,
Does that
production.
fall off, come normally after 5 years? You can see a big dip there at that time? Or-
I believe that it's supposed to start falling off a little bit faster than the average 0.7, but
What I've seen the warranties state, and I don't have the personal experience, but almost all the warranties now will tell you in the first X years, usually 3 to 5, you may lose up to 1% in those first few years. And the reality is what they're doing is they're running these cells through a major furnace, and the purity of the cell is what matters to how efficient, how much power it produces. When they come out of this furnace and after they're ready to go, they run through some tests, and they grade them. And so they'll take the best pure ones and call them 260 pounds. They'll now take the next near perfect quality and call them 255s. And then they'll take the 250s and the 245s, and they'll batch them up like that. And what they're doing is only saying it's within 3% of that rating is what they're tested by the Florida, whatever the official rating agency is down in Florida. It's the test site in the nation. So that 3% variability can hit you year 1, year 2, year 3. It's most likely there at the beginning because they batched these up within 3% of the total rating. So that's why they give this first 5 years might be a 1%, but then after that it's only 0.7 or 0.4 depending on the warranty. Does that help? It's hard to predict, but that's what their warranty is trying to cover them for.
okay, let's look at everyone up here that wants to get